because there is, like myself, he's speaking to these people. I mean, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Sioux City, but I imagine Sioux City feels a lot like here, you know, and having to tell my mom that, hey, I'm not going to quit school, but I'm going to quit school for a bit. And telling my boss, hey, I'm not going to quit work, but I am going to quit for a bit, wasn't easy. And then I thought to...
That's better. Put the O in, switch the O in.
Well, anyway, so then I decided, well, okay, I'm coming back to Iowa, and I was scared on my flight back, mainly because it was so cold. And I was like, oh my god, I forgot it's so cold here. But I am here, and I went and I knocked on doors, and I talked to people from the city across from East Middle School, where I went to school. And some of them vaguely remember me, like, oh yeah, you were in the marching band. All right. So anyway, now I'm back. And as I was saying, a lot of people put pause on their life for this campaign, and tonight you will see why we did. I stayed up until 5 watching the debates over in Italy, having and being around with everyone here working. We're working hard, so please, if you feel the same feeling that I felt all the way in Modena, please sign up, volunteer. We have 30 days. Let's make every single one of them count. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, now that is true dedication coming from Italy back to Iowa. My goodness gracious. Hey, I'd like everybody to give a great big thank you to our host, who not only owns this particular property, but the one we're going to be going to, Mr. David Hazel. I know you're out there somewhere if you want to raise your hand. David, thank you, a Burlington native. I'd like to introduce you to another Burlington native. A young man who I admire much, who gave a speech that I personally thought was one of the best that I had heard in my life. Big defender of unions. My friend and your chair of Des Moines County Democrats, Mr. Tom Courtney, everyone.
Thanks, Al. You're all lucky I'm not going to give that speech tonight. It takes way too long. I also want to say I'm the co-chair of the Des Moines County Democrats, and Diane LaRue Chubb down here is the other co-chair. And I also like to say my wife Nancy's that pretty blonde standing right there. Hey, you're all welcome. I'm glad you're all here tonight. This is a nice venue and a nice big crowd, and I'm told to hurry up because he's getting pretty close. But I want you all to listen to Andrew Yang. I believe, as Des Moines County Chair, I haven't picked a candidate, and I won't pick a candidate, and I don't think Diane has either, because we think you all should see and hear every candidate. If you'd have watched TV yesterday and today, you'd have thought this race was about over, but it's not about over. I think Andrew Yang's got a lot of good things to say, and I want to hear it. I know you're all anxious to hear it. So if he's here, Andrew Yang. Oh, wait. I have not personally met Andrew Yang, but I can tell you, she's not Andrew Yang, and she's a lot prettier than Andrew Yang. There you go.
People confuse us all the time.
God, okay. They do.
Hi everyone. Hello. Congratulations on this new office in Burlington. Thank you so much for all your work and support here. It's really been amazing to see this campaign just grow, and not just this campaign, but this movement. Gosh, I feel like I've been a little bit of a spectator, and I just only recently started joining Andrew on the trail because we have 2 little boys at home. But I really love being out here with him when I can, because I think that through me, people can see that Andrew is, in fact, a pretty normal person. And after being together now for almost 15 years, I'd like to think that I'm his best character witness. And if you know me, you know that I'm not the kind of wife to go around giving her husband false praise. I don't think that works out well for anyone. So I say this with 100% sincerity. Andrew is a wholesome family man of the highest integrity. He doesn't lie. I've never known him to do a single unscrupulous thing. But he's far from a stick in the mud, as you guys are well aware. He's so much fun, and he's flexible. He's always willing to learn, but he's principled. And he has exceptional judgment when it comes to the things that really matter. He is generous in heart and soul and in action. By the way, I took all of that from our wedding vows. Just kidding, our vows were way more generic. But all that aside, here's why I think Andrew Yang would be a great president. It is so upsetting how divided our nation has become. It's why Washington can't get anything done. Andrew's campaign message is humanity first. That includes all of us. He says all the time, it's not left, it's not right, it's forward. His intention was loud and clear from the very start. He's not here to play partisan politics. His goal will be to solve problems and improve the everyday lives of all Americans. Well, 15 years ago, I may not have thought to myself, oh, this man should be president. Today, the very same qualities that made me fall in love with him have made me absolutely convinced that Andrew Yang is the best person to lead this country in the 21st century. Because the stakes have never been higher. Americans right now know that things aren't all right. Too many people are being left behind. Too many families are struggling to make ends meet. We have women who are financially dependent and stuck in abusive situations. We have children who are hungry and homeless in the United States of America, a country with so much wealth. This shouldn't be acceptable to any one of us. Yet Andrew is the only candidate talking about poverty in any meaningful way. Of course, $1,000 a month isn't going to solve all our problems. We as a country have a lot of big systemic changes to work on. And if you look at any one of Andrew's 150 plus policy proposals, then you know that he fully intends to work on those. But the freedom dividend is a critical first step in the right direction. It will pave the road ahead and allow millions of Americans to lift their heads up, plan, save for a rainy day, and hope for a brighter future. That's why I so embrace this campaign and the work that Andrew is doing, putting humanity first. So now please join me in welcoming the next President of the United States, my husband, Andrew Yang.
Hello, Burlington, Iowa. How are you all? Why do I feel you're so far away? Is it these accursed TV cameras? Let's give my lovely wife Evelyn another round of applause. I know what you're thinking. Evelyn Yang 2020. No, that's what the team said. Or that they saw Evelyn in action, they were like, "Holy cow, Andrew!"
No, you missed it. At first they announced me as Andrew Yang.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, you could certainly not mistake us for each other.
I corrected that when I saw her.
Oh, thank you. It's a thrill to be back here in Iowa, and someone said this is our coolest campaign office in the entire state. And since this is my first time inside, I would have to say I agree. Yeah, how did this place become so cool? What did they do? You know what it is? There's the stage that I'm on. They're like the bird cages, the vintage posters, the art, the giant map. This feels like
like a nightclub slash art gallery as much as a political headquarters. And I love it because this campaign's about a different vision for our country that's more human. Evelyn knows that I've never intended to run for president. And she jokes I'd make a lousy politician because I'm very bad at lying. I'm an entrepreneur and problem solver. I spent the last 7 years running a nonprofit that I started that helped create several thousand jobs around the country in Detroit, Cleveland, St. Louis, Birmingham, Baltimore. And what I saw was that our economy is changing in fundamental ways that are leaving more and more of us behind. To me, this is one of the big reasons, if not the big reason, that Donald Trump's our president today. If you were to turn on cable news, why would you think that Donald Trump's our president?
Got a big mouth.
Because of tweets.
Big mouth, social media, Russia, money.
Rain. Moron.
Well, it seemed to be working for him. Racism, Hillary Clinton, emails, all mixed together. Fear. But I'm a numbers guy, and the numbers tell a clear and distinct story that we blasted away 4 million manufacturing jobs that were primarily based in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri, and 40,000 right here in Iowa. I have been to those towns here in Iowa, and after the manufacturing plant closed, the shopping district closed, people started to leave, the schools started to shrink, and those communities never recovered. I saw that play out over and over again in Michigan, Ohio, Missouri. And if you doubt that this is what drove Donald Trump into the White House, there's a straight line up between the adoption of industrial automation in a voting area and the movement towards Trump in that area. And unfortunately, we're not stopping with the manufacturing jobs. How many of you have noticed stores closing where you work and live here in Burlington? And why are those stores closing? Amazon, that's right. Amazon soaking up $20 billion in business every single year. How much did Amazon pay in taxes last year? Zero. That is your math, Burlington. $20 billion out, zero back. 30% of your stores and malls closed for good. Most common job in your communities is retail clerk. Average retail clerk's a 39-year-old woman making between $8 and $10 an hour. What is her next opportunity when the store closes? How many of you have seen the self-serve kiosks in the CVS, the grocery store, the fast food store? Every McDonald's in the country will have one by next year. And they're now shifting to the back of the house with robot burger flippers and fry cookers. And it's not just the changes we can see in front of us every day. When you call the customer service line of a big company and you get the bot or software, you do the same thing I do, which is you pound 000, say human, 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 representative, representative, until you get someone on the line, right? How many of you do that? Oh yeah, we all do that because that software is terrible. Like just interacting with it, you're like, oh no. And so you breathe a sigh of relief when there's a human on the other line. But in 2 or 3 short years, the software is going to sound like this. Hey Andrew, how's it going? What can I do for you?
Yeah, that's right.
It'll be fast, seamless, delightful. You might not even know it's software. What is that going to mean for the 2.5 million Americans who work in call centers right now making $14 an hour?
Just become coders.
Yeah, maybe they'll learn to code. I love Joe, but he's dead wrong on that one. I mean, really. How many of you all know a truck driver here in Iowa? Trucking is the most common job in 29 states, 3.5 million truckers, and my friends in California are working on trucks that can drive themselves. A robot truck just transported 20 tons of butter from California to Pennsylvania without human intervention just 2 weeks ago. Why butter? I have no idea. But if you Google robot butter truck, the story will pop up. My friends in California say they are 98% of the way to self-driving trucks. What is that going to mean for the 3.5 million truck drivers here in Iowa and other parts of the country, or the 7 million? I hope they catch them. What is that going to mean for the truckers or the 7 million Americans who work in truck stops, motels, and diners that rely upon the truckers getting out and having a meal every day? How many of you have been to Iowa 80 in Davenport? Now, they say 5,000 people stop there every day. What will that number look like when the freight is driven by robots that don't need to stop and get a meal? We're in the midst of the greatest economic transformation in the history of our country, what experts are calling the fourth industrial revolution. When's the last time you heard a politician say the words fourth industrial revolution?
Right now.
Just now, 3 seconds ago.
Right now.
And I'm barely a politician, Iowa. I was unpacking all of these facts and figures and trends in 2017 after Donald Trump won. Because to me, his victory was a giant red flag. Now you all and I have, and Evelyn has, family members, friends, and neighbors who celebrated Donald Trump's victory. After all, Donald Trump won Iowa by 8 points. So of course you have many friends who are happy about his winning. But to me, his victory was a giant red flag for our country, where tens of millions of our fellow Americans decided to take a bet on the narcissist reality TV star as our president. And so that, to me, required some real soul searching and examination of how he got into the White House. And I saw these facts and figures with the fact that more and more of us are being left behind. And I took my facts and figures to our leaders in Washington, D.C. And I said to them, hey, we're going through the greatest economic transformation in our country's history. Immigrants are being scapegoated, though they have very little to do with the actual problems. What are we going to do to help our people and our communities through this time? And what do you think the folks in DC said to me when I said, what are we going to do?
You're laughing.
An evil laugh.
The 3 big answers I got were these. Number 1, we cannot talk about this, Andrew. Number 2, we should study this further. Number 3, we must educate and retrain all Americans for the jobs of the future. And I said, that sounds great, but I took a look at the studies. Do you all want to guess how effective government-funded retraining programs were for the manufacturing workers who lost their jobs?
0 to 50%.
Yeah, someone here is Yang Gang. 0 to 15%. They're a total failure. The truth is that half of the manufacturing workers that lost their jobs never worked again. And of that group, half filed for disability. You then saw surges in suicides and drug overdoses in those communities to the point where our life expectancy has now declined for the last 3 years in a row. You know the last time America's life expectancy declined for 3 years in a row? The Spanish flu of 1918, a global pandemic that killed millions. You have to go back 100 years. In a developed country, it's highly unusual for our life expectancy ever to decline. It ordinarily just keeps going up because you're getting richer, stronger, healthier. That's the norm. But here in the United States, it's gone down and then down and then down again. This is how Donald Trump is our president, is that more and more of us are getting pushed aside. I love campaigning here in Iowa because you all have the future of the country in your hands. You're among some of the most powerful people in our nation today. I know it does not feel like it because you're just living your lives, doing your thing. It's a weekend, so there's a presidential candidate in town. But as one sign, go ahead and show with a sign of fingers how many presidential candidates you've seen this cycle. So this would be 5, 6, 10. More than 10, you can flash your fingers like this. So I saw a 15 there. He's at least 10. If you have a 1, I appreciate it because I'm just like, oh, I just feel like I'm the only person that brought you out. So, now, the reason why all of us come to you is because you have this outsized power on the direction our country takes. I have done the math. Do you know how many Californians each of you is worth? 1,000 Californians apiece. So look around this room tonight. How many of us are there? What's the fire code in my new office? 150? I'm going to give a Trumpian estimate. There are 750 people here tonight. There are 140 people in this room. That alone would be almost 4 football stadiums worth of Californians. That is the power in this room tonight. The power to change the future of our country. Most of our fellow Americans look up and they see the government pipes clogged full of millions of dollars of lobbyist cash, and they despair that they can do nothing to change it. They are correct. They can do nothing to change it. You are the only people in the country who can change it. You are the only people in the country who can flush the pipes clean. Oh, I went to Washington, D.C., and I made this case to the folks, and they obviously did not have anything for me. And one person there said something to me that brought me here to you all tonight in Burlington. He said, Andrew, you're in the wrong town. No one here is going to do anything about this because Washington, D.C. is fundamentally a town of followers, not leaders. And the only way we will do anything about it is if you were to create a wave in other parts of the country and bring that wave crashing down on our heads. And I said, challenge accepted. I'll be back in 2 years with the wave. That was 2 years ago, Burlington. And I stand before you tonight. I am 5th in the polls and rising to be the Democratic nominee. We raised 16. Yeah, I love it too. We raised $16.5 million last quarter alone in increments of only $35 each. So my fans are almost as cheap as Bernie's. Zero corporate PAC money, all grassroots funding, all people-powered donations, $5, $10, $15. That is how we are going to take hold of DC and rewrite the rules to work for us, to work for you, to work for our families. Now, what does rewriting the rules mean? If you're here tonight, at some point you heard that someone is running for president who wants to give every American $1,000 a month. Remember that?
Yep.
How many of you heard that? Oh, yeah. And the first time you heard it, I know it sounded like a gimmick. It was too good to be true. It was not going to happen. But this is not my idea, and it's not a new idea. Thomas Paine was for it at the founding of the country, called it the citizen's dividend for all Americans. Martin Luther King fought for this in the 1960s, and it is what he was fighting for when he was killed in 1968. I sat with his son in Atlanta, and he said that this is what his dad was fighting for. This was the vision his dad was fighting for when he was killed. 1,000 economists, including Milton Friedman, endorsed this in the 60s and 70s, and it was so mainstream it passed the U.S. House of Representatives twice in 1971 under Richard Nixon. Family assistance plan with a guarantee at a certain income level for all Americans. And then 11 years later, one state passed a dividend where now everyone in that state gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. And what state is that? And how do they pay for it?
Oil.
And what is the oil of the 21st century? Data, technology, AI, software, self-driving cars and trucks. A new study just came out that said that our data is now worth more than oil. How many of you saw that study? How many of you got your data check in the mail last month?
So many.
Oh, we joke, we laugh, but if our data is now worth tens of billions of dollars, who's getting the checks? It's Facebook, Amazon, Google, and the mega tech companies that are paying zero or near zero in taxes. Do you see the game, Iowa? We're getting sucked dry, and it's up to you all to change it. Jeff Bezos is worth $115 billion post-divorce. This is a statement of fact. There's no judgment there. Do we think it's acceptable that his trillion-dollar tech company pays less in taxes than everyone here in this room? No. And that's not their fault. That is our fault, that we are so dumb that we're letting them run circles around us. That's what you all need to change. This is what rewriting the rules to work for us means. If we give our people our tiny fair share of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every Facebook ad, eventually every robot truck mile and AI work unit, we can easily afford $1,000 a month for every American in the country. Particularly because when this money is in your hands, how are you going to spend it? Where will it go?
Wherever we want.
How much of it would stay right here in Iowa?
Most of it.
Most of it. A little bit of it would float up to the cloud. Some of you would get your own Netflix password. But most of it would go right into your communities to car repairs you've been putting off and daycare expenses and Little League signups and local nonprofits and religious organizations. This is the trickle-up economy from our people, our families, and our communities up. And this is the vision that you can take to the rest of the country and make real in 30 short days. Right now, we're getting all these pieces of news about how great things are in our economy. We're seeing, and you're shaking your head, sir. You're like, oh no. Oh no, but you're getting the news. You're saying record high stock market prices, record high GDP, headline unemployment is at multi-decade lows. And then you're looking around saying, if things are so great, why don't I feel like they're great in my communities? And as usual, you are right. Americans are very smart. Record high corporate profits in this country right now, you know what also are at record highs? Mental illness, stress, anxiety, financial insecurity, student loan indebtedness, suicides, drug overdoses, all at record highs in the United States of America. Again, corporate profits are heading up and our people are dying sooner. Which is more important? What we have to do is we have to redefine economic progress to include how we are doing. And for me, this is personal because Evelyn has been at home with our boys for the last number of years. Our older son, Christopher, is autistic. How much is her work valued at in our economic measurements every day? Zero. And it's not just her and stay-at-home parents around the country. It's caregivers, nurturers, coaches, mentors, volunteers, artists, journalists, increasingly. Over 2,000 local papers have gone out of business, turning much of the country into local news deserts. These are the things that we're supposed to value most dearly, but the market is zeroing them out, one by one. And Evelyn and I talked about this months ago. She said, how is it that something that was so mainstream in the 60s and 70s seems so dramatic and far out today? And what I said to her, and I'll say to you right now, is that over the last 50 years, we have become collectively conditioned, even brainwashed, to think that economic value and human value are the same things. And they are not. The case that you all have to make to the rest of the country is that we all have intrinsic value as human beings, as citizens, and as Americans. That if the market says someone like our son has no value, we know that's nonsense. And we can decide differently. We must decide differently because the market is going to turn on more and more of us as technology gets better and better. I have friends who are some of the most senior technologists in the country. And they say to me, I have been to the labs, I have seen what AI can do, and when it comes out of the labs and starts hitting our businesses, it's going to be much, much more disruptive than anyone knows. You know how that conversation never goes? I have been in the lab, I have seen what's coming, and everything's gonna be fine. It's always, if people knew what I knew and saw what I saw, they would be much more concerned. I spoke to a group of 70 CEOs in New York City, and I asked how many of them were looking at replacing their back office clerical workers with software and artificial intelligence. Guess how many hands went up out of 70?
70.
All 70 hands went up. The truth is you could fire any CEO that did not have his hand up. And it was generally guys, it was. That is the system we have built, Iowa. We have built a system that is built to optimize the bottom line of these corporations. And the bottom line of these corporations in our communities are now separating. We have to line them up as quickly as possible. We have to actually start measuring our economy. It's the Russians, they cut me off.
Amen, brother.
They're always out to get my voice amplification. I can work on that one. I think they can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, wait, Conrad's gonna fix it. We got an alternate mic. Look at this. They never knew we had a redundancy. Thank you. All right. Instead of measuring just corporate profits and GDP, we should be measuring our progress with our own wellness and life expectancy, the proportion of Americans that can retire in quality circumstances, and this $1,000 a month I'm championing goes on top of Social Security. It would enable millions of Americans to retire with dignity. I have parents too. They're my dad's about to turn 80. My mom's in her mid-70s. And I see what happens as we all get older. We have this fixed income that doesn't move. And then things just seem to get more and more expensive over time. We can change that. If we measure our progress by how our elderly Americans are retiring, how our kids are doing, how about mental health and freedom from substance abuse? How about clean air and clean water? These can be the measurements of our economic progress, and as your president, it will be my privilege to go to the Bureau of Economic Analysis and say, hey, GDP, 100 years old, really out of date, kind of useless. Even the inventor of GDP said 100 years ago, this is a terrible measurement for national well-being, and we should never use it as that. And here we are 100 years later, following it off a cliff. A lot of these technologies will be great for GDP and corporate profits, but they'll be very bad for many of us. So this is how we change it. This is how we rewrite the rules of the 21st century economy to work for ourselves. I'm not running for president because I fantasized about being president. I think Evelyn can vouch for that. I'm running for president because I have seen the future that lies ahead for our kids, for your kids, and it is not something I'm willing to accept. We have to leave a future we're actually proud of for them. If you were born in this country in the 1940s, first, congratulations, because that's pretty good already. You're like in your mid-70s. But if you were born in the 1940s in the United States, there was a 93% chance that you were going to do better than your parents did. That's the American dream that brought my family here, that brought Evelyn's family here, that has worked for so long. If you were born in the 1990s, you're down to a 50-50 shot, and it's declining quickly. That is that feeling that we have that our kids' future is not going to be as bright as the lives we've led. That is the feeling that got Donald Trump into the White House. And that is what you all must change in 30 short days. We can only do it with your help. We need you to caucus for this campaign in 30 days. We need you to bug your equally superpowered Iowan friends, who are all also worth 1,000 Californians each, to get out on February 3rd. But we can make that case loud and clear to the rest of the country, and that message will take off like wildfire, because they are waiting for it. So many of our fellow Americans understand that the feedback mechanism between us and our government has been broken, and we need to restore it. That's the message that you all can send. Donald Trump is our president today because he had a very simple message. He said he was going to make America great again. What did Hillary Clinton say in response?
Nothing.
America's already great.
America is already great. You all remember that?
Yeah.
It's been a long 3 years, I know. It's about to end. Her response did not go over well because the problems are real. We have to acknowledge their reality and severity and depth, but then we need real solutions that will actually move the country forward. What were Donald Trump's solutions? Build a wall, turn the clock back, bring the old jobs back. Iowa, you know we have to do the opposite of these things. We have to turn the clock forward. We have to accelerate our economy and society to rise to the real challenges of the 21st century. We have to evolve in the way we think about ourselves and our work and our value. I am the ideal candidate for this job because the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. Thank you very much, Burlington. You may not know this, but math is an acronym, and what does it stand for? Make America think harder. That's right, Burlington. That is your job. It is your job to move this country, not left, not right, but forward in 30 days, and I know that's just what you'll do. Thank you very much, Iowa. Let's make this one together.
If you would like a photo or a selfie with the candidate, I'll ask you to line up right here, please.
As for everybody, do not look left to Tom Sawyer or do not look right to Donald Trump. Look forward to Andrew Yang.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, well, right here.
Sure, whatever you want, Conrad.
Oh, thanks.
All right, stream.
Like I said, if you'd like a selfie with
Bear
the
with us,
candidate
stream,
and a
because
picture,
there's going to be
line up
another
right here.
event with
Please
Yang
have
in
your
20
phones
minutes
out
right across
on
the street.
camera,
So we're just going to
everybody.
bring
We
the
gotta make this
stream
quick.
right over there. So just stay with us for about 20 more minutes, and we'll have more Andrew Yang for you. But me.
If you want to just get in line here in the front.
You got this to help? Oh, you have to be 13 to do this. Votes are only for the volunteers.
I know, but somebody grabbed my phone.
You know who it was?
I don't remember.
If you would like to exit the office, there's an exit out back.
How'd you learn about Andrew Yang? Well, first, what's your name?
Samaj J. Gibson. I'm 13 years old. I've been living down here since I was born, and how I looked at him towards in the advertisements because, you know, I spend time on YouTube a lot. So I feel like it should be a new way forward, and we need a new president.
Awesome. How'd you end up getting here tonight behind the stage with Andrew?
They just asked me.
They asked you, and you accepted? Were you happy about it?
Yes, sir.
All right. I loved your outro speech.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Sir, would you like a photo or something like that?
No, I know somebody on stage.
Oh, okay, gotcha. He's the best.
Look at this.
Okay.
Step back just a little bit. There you go.
Andrew? The VIPs are yes.
Is there a staff member today?
Yes, I would think. All right. These lovely ladies down here would love a picture. Thank you so much for waiting.
I know who you are.
Big one.
Oh, okay. Picture back.
Nice.
You can be next.
Awesome.
Thank you. Who's the next one?
Next
Deborah?
one.
Deborah? Get up there. How come they were playing Return Back?
That's a good one.
No, well, no, I love that.
We're going to the bar next. Thank you for coming here. Good to meet you.
Sir, thank you. Look at the picture, sir. Right here.
I remember.
All the way 8 hour drive.
There you go. Thank you, Eric. You want to sign anything?
Yeah, I tried to stay out of the way.
Thank you. Yeah, right there. Excuse me. Right here. He's just talking to the ladies.
Thank you. Listen about.
We'll ask you to clear out here.
Michaela, follow him on the night. I'm trying to get, well,
I think we just go.
Also,
Connor, is it still the plan to go up the back?
we got it. Absolutely. Somebody sign that.
Yeah, school bus, yeah. Yes, school bus. I don't know.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey, Conrad, do you have Yanni's phone number?
I do. Also,
Which one is this? You know, the three pieces?
Japanese American president. Welcome to my contact.
You know what's funny is my parents are in Taiwan and my dad went to the main lunch party in Taipei. And then he comes with my son and I was like, it's like a pride and so heartwarming.
Hey guys. Right back.
Yeah.
My backpack and jacket are in the back.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You want me to put them in the car?
No, I was just thinking
Can you been here? You've been already. Right? Where?
Oh no, Evelyn almost tripped.
Okay, that should be spaced out.
Just a reminder, guys, right after this selfie line ends, Andrew has another event right across the street called Beers with Andrew. So stay tuned, and we will have that event live here on the Zach and Nat Show. Zach Grauman is probably watching the Bills game, and I just saw that apparently the Bills lost, so he is now probably in mourning.
Hey, thanks so much. Thank you for letting them be taking away.
There you are, sir.
Hey, absolutely, I love it. I wear it a lot.
They're all in.
Yeah, they are. They are.
I feel bad about like inserting these.
I think they're the other piece of the puzzle. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it.
Sorry.
So this is the campaign that Sam built. You know, he put me on the map and then he actually got me on the board.
Well, I've been talking about it for a long time. It's in there, so thanks so much, man.
Yeah, really. This is the campaign that Sam built. Evelyn met Sam and his wife.
Oh, yes. She's wonderful and brilliant, too. I'm sure I can. Thanks, guys.
have any books in the car. You want to give me your keys?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Where's your car? Where's your car? White Nissan right in front here. Oh
Thank you. My little brother's gonna come through, actually. My little brother's gonna come
That's a family picture.
Don't let your big brother push you around too much.
Those two boxes are the rest of the motor. We have those here. Oh, can you get them?
Thank you very much. That was my daughter. And that's my husband. And I don't want to get in anybody's way.
Trying to squeeze over to Joe. Or talk to Andrew again. Who wants a picture? Who wants an section? You want a picture with Evelyn?
Awesome.
Here you are, sir. I'm staying here. I feel like I'm in part of the picture.
Oh, are you?
She wants to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How about you make
Yes,
it with
okay, sure. You want to take a selfie?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, you do it.
All right, look back there. There we are.
Everyone in the crowd is so supportive, and like there's so much positive energy that you're going to be great. Thank you for doing that.
I'll go up there and be
That's a strategy.
Evelyn, Matt here was an elementary school principal for years. 17 years. 17 years. There's no way I'm going underneath that. There you are.
A couple hours ago?
Yep, like 4:30 got in.
And he sprinted back to the office to come open the burger joint.
Yes,
Did you
sir.
get a burger?
I had just eaten.
I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Thank you, Easy Cruise 23. Appreciate that. So we have another event in 5 minutes. But it will probably take longer to get there because this is a long selfie line.
they doing it?
No, that's
Thank you for that. Yeah.
This is some water.
He told me he likes it, so I
Oh, thank you. How many more people do we have? How many more people do we have? Good amount. 20.
Just get rid of this whole Sorry. I got it. Yeah, I'm with
Burn this.
Or
fine. I did, yes.
We need a Judy.
Huh?
We need to find some Judy.
Right.
I'll be right there. I'm in the
drove up here from Florida, and you know when I looked you up, that's why I thought somehow it was come to find out. I get it. son Alan is from Lincoln, Nebraska. How are you doing, man? And he's the one that came up with the dance contest. I remember the dance. Alan. Thank you very much. You want me to sign your badge? She confirmed. Yes, please. I didn't know you had a light horizontal. You know what? This is your Christmas present from Alan. It's kind of like
Our son is gone crazy campusing.
There they are.
I'm telling you.
Alan's just at the rock star and his wife.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Andrew. See? I'm impressed.
Thank you for saying thank you. On a tweet, I was out at an Indiana basketball game in the rain holding a banner. Yes, heck yeah. On the way out, I had a ton of Trump references, but I can say from a month ago, I've had easily 5 times as many people saying, recognizing your name from the basketball game. Oh, cool. I bet you a little bit. The campus in the next 10 days here, Muscatine.
If you're a volunteer, it's
free.
free.
For another 10 days. This is what my 17 years of door-to-door experience is for. This is why I did that.
We'll be right here alongside you. Thank you very much. How are you doing? Hi, how are you doing? Pretty good. I convinced my father to vote for you. So he was a license supporter. Thank you very much. I'm working with my mom. Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Nice work. Thanks for all you do. I don't mind. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Did you do a good job? Want me to check my viewer?
Oh, we went up in viewers. High five. There's some interesting stuff. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's where
Let me get in this damn line.
I hope you will promise I will be happy. Really, that would mean so much. So, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I like the pen. Those are hard to come by. I got it. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, so there's an event right across the street after this, which we will be going to. The stream's been up for an hour now.
You got my vote.
Robert, how you been?
Always got that Evelyn smile.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Hey guys, Zach. How you doing? Minus my bills. Thanks. I'll be fine.
Could we get a live reaction to the Bills?
Come on, man.
I'm guessing that's a no.
That's my reaction.
Good work.
Dark, upset. Yeah, you better win. Yeah, you really.
This will show Bradley that you did it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
She's living vicariously. She's like at home with the kids, right? It means so much.
Thank you so much.
That's the way it is with Evelyn, too.
It's my first 1,000 minutes, so I feel
Yeah, please, Mama.
nice to meet you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I thought I did.
I wasn't sure. Well, I actually sprayed this one so it doesn't fade.
Do you want me to do it again? I
I've got a good marker.
Got it down pretty good. Repeat it.
I've got a good marker.
It's like a shadow. That's art. Fair enough. And you're up.
We tried it as many times.
Awesome.
Thank you.
White or blue, sir?
I'm alright, thank you.
But I hope this helps.
Yeah, it's a very complex operation.
Al. He doesn't want to take pictures, he wanted to say hi.
Alright, is this the last gentleman? No. Alright, I'm gonna let him know that we're headed over there in a minute.
Hi, I heard there are a lot of hats here.
Ethan, we're gonna cut through the back. Oh yeah?
One was like, and had like the candy and stuff. One had
So we avoid the people that are definitely doing it.
I'll double check, but
Once this photo's done, we're walking.
Great. Just text me so we can
Awesome. Yeah.
Did he get emoji?
Oops, sorry.
I know he would ask me if I could go advance letters.
I'm just bringing him check.
He's actually in the I can ask him if he can.
What you do is
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, mine's ready.
You're up.
Last one. So,
When you manufacture.
great picture. Thank you.
This is how this happens.
we're walking over to short
Yes.
Think straight on that.
You already have a dog?
I have a dog. Yes.
Okay, we had a dog, but one of our boys allergic,
Yes,
so we're
so
trying to
we now co-parent our friends.
Understood. My
I have one question. Guys, do not do Twitter. You do Twitter?
Yes.
Please tell me you're not going to run the country by your Twitter. I think that's so disgusting.
Yeah, I would.
Can't you take that dumb thing away from him?
I would sit down with journalists, which is the normal thing to do, and then I would do a modern version of the fireside chat, where you just sit there and speak directly to Americans. But I think Twitter has many uses, but governing is how we're.
Iran or Iraq or anybody you call them on the phone, you cannot send a Twitter.
So I didn't use Twitter at all for this campaign. And then my campaign team told me, it's like, hey, when you're running for president, I have to use all that. And so I had to adapt to it. And now I understand it. And I understand why we should not be using it to govern. When you're in that the smallest action or statement has repercussions. And so you need some insulation in the world. Twitter does not afford you that insulation. Because he's literally just waking up at 1 in the morning and just letting out.
every time he does something, you said about the economy.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured out.
Yeah, it's no way to go.
It's taking me too long.
How do you make a financial decision about it?
It's also bad for like this mental health.
Trust me, I have some
That's one reason running is that you feel better trying to change it.
Yes. Thank you. I said my husband is here.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean,
I don't like it.
Yep.
Almost to the main screen. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
All right, stream 1 sec.
Office in Iowa. Yeah, thanks for amazing.
I was like, not even sure what day it is.
Yeah, I was looking at your events.
Yeah.
Facebook for like 5 different cities today. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't have something.
Yeah, I mean.
So we're going outside. We're going to walk to get to the place.
Yes.
No, so hang on here until this dies down. Once it dies down, if I haven't
The Yang office.
How was it, brother?
All right, guys. So the next event. Why is my frames bad? My frames are awful right now. What? What happened? Andrew came up to you? What did he say?
free bird. I'm all done.
What did he say?
So they give you a big
Huh?
Let the school out.
I'm trying to fix my connection.
Okay. I think it's.
Okay, there we go. 30 frames. Sorry about that, stream. We're back. It's the Russians. All right, where's the next event?
306 Washington Street. It's on the street.
Hey, dude, just take a right. It's across the street.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's what I thought.
You'll see the Budweiser Coors.
You want to say hi to the stream real quick?
Hey, what's up, String? We're gonna make Iowa happen. I'm field organizer here in Burlington. We prepared this place for Andrew, and it's great. Glad to talk to you all. Make America think harder, everyone.
I love the way it looks.
Andrew called it
That's
the
awesome.
best looking office.
Best
in
looking office.
the-
And also,
history.
a big thank you to Travis here, super volunteer. We could not have done it without him.
It's all Trey.
Everyone say thank you, Trey. Or Travis. Or
Travis
both.
and Trey.
It's both of us. We're a good team.
We're a good team.
As well as
I'm Rick.
Rick. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate you guys.
Of course. Famous now.
Oh, there's Yang's car. Wait, so what did Andrew say to you, Eliza?
He came up to me and gave me a big hug because Jillian was taking pictures of me against the Yang ball. And he's like, oh my God, you look amazing as always. And I was like, oh, thank you. It took me off guard. It's right here.
It's
It
here.
took me off guard once again.
Oh, it's good to see the police at this event again. I recognize these. I feel like I recognize these.
And it was
police
kind of
officers.
awkward hugging a married man with his wife.
Hold up, there's Zach Grauman going into the event. Zach is very sad right now because the Bills lost.
Oh, really?
I got his live reaction on cam, and his live reaction was he didn't say anything.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I guess I'll probably get the water. Thank you, sir.
With Mr. J.B. Schultman at Jefferson Junior High in Des Moines, Iowa. We had a big crowd of about 400 people there. We stayed the entire time afterwards. I took selfies with everybody, which was not so great for me because I'm like, Andrew, I'm a big boy. I need food. Come on, we got to get going, buddy. But at the end of all that, when we got done taking all our selfies and everything, there was one young man who came up to us, was a volunteer that evening, and says, hey, I lost my cell phone. And Andrew Yang was like, guys, we have to find this kid's cell phone. So not only did he have us poor, starving staff members walking up and down the aisles trying to find this kid's cell phone, Andrew Yang himself was also looking for this kid's cell phone. So when he says humanity first, when he means he puts people first, he really does mean that. And that's one of the reasons why I feel so privileged to work for a man who decides that even though he's running for the presidency of the United States, even though he has a tremendous amount of responsibilities to take care of, he's deciding that one kid's cell phone is important for him to find and to go look for. And I believe that is the qualities of a great leader, somebody who says every single person out there matters, not just big corporations and companies, but you as individuals are the people that matter and should matter to the next leader of the United States. I also have to admit that one of the reasons why I love Andrew Yang is because my wife told me to. You see, we went and saw Andrew Yang at the 2017 Iowa Wingding, and there are a bunch of different individuals who got up and spoke at that point in time. And Andrew Yang was one of them. And as we were driving home, I looked at my wife and I said, honey, beautiful, what did you think of the different speakers that we heard? And my wife looked me right in my eyes and said, you know what? Andrew Yang is the only one who's actually offering real solutions for normal people in their lives. And that's one of the things that I think is special about him. He's not looking at some solutions that are left, not looking at solutions that are right, but he's looking at solutions that are forward. That's exactly right. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you a man who is my personal friend and the next president of the United States, Mr. Andrew
Hello, Burlington! It's fantastic to be here! I have to say, this is a very odd setup for any kind of political event. I feel like I'm either going to bust into a stand-up comedy routine or beatbox or some kind of music, but I'm not. I'm here to talk to you about the future. How many of you have seen me speak before in some other context? All right, many of you have not. The rest of you that are here, raise your hand if you were here for a beer and just stumbled into a political event. No, all right, that's good. Raise your hand if you're here because you saw some expensive TV advertisement that we spend way too much money on. Also, no. Someone is fired. So, if you're here tonight, you're doing your civic duty as an Iowan and as a voter to figure out who the heck you're going to caucus for in 30 short days. And I have to say, that decision is one of the most important decisions, not in your life, not in your community's life, but the entire country's history. What you all do, you all have outsized power over the future of our country. I did the math. Do you know how many Californians each Iowan is worth? 1,000 Californians apiece. That's right. So if you look around this bar tonight, how many of us are there? I'm going to give a very Trumpian estimate. There are 800 people in this bar. But even if you have 160 people here in this bar, which is about what it is, that's 4 football stadiums full of Californians. That's the power that is in this room tonight. It's the power to send this country in a whole other direction. That's why I love campaigning here. This is my 24th time here in Iowa, and this time I have my wife with me. Where's my wife, Evelyn? Evelyn? Yes. Evelyn and I are here, and we left the kids at home, so this is date night. I've told people I have 2 priorities: move the country forward and stay married. So far, I'm doing all right. So you all have this incredible power to move the country in a new direction, and the question is, how are you going to use that power? Right now, the rest of the country looks up at our government in D.C. They see this set of government pipes clogged full of money, clogged full of millions and millions of dollars of lobbyist cash, and they think there's nothing they can do to flush the pipes clean. They are correct. There's nothing they can do. There's only something that you all can do. In 30 days, that's the importance of this choice. So the question is, how can we flush the pipes clean and send the country in a new direction? If you're here tonight, you heard at some point that there's a man running for president who wants to give everyone in the country $1,000 a month. Raise your hand if you've seen that. And I know the first time you heard that, it sounded too good to be true, like a gimmick. But it's not my idea, and it's not a new idea. Thomas Paine was for it at the founding of the country, called it the citizen's dividend. Martin Luther King, whose son I sat down with in Atlanta a month ago. So I was sitting with Martin Luther King III, and he said to me, Dad was fighting for this when he was killed. And I just couldn't stop thinking, you just called Martin Luther King Dad. And then I was like, yeah, you're Martin Luther King III, so that is what you call him. But this is what he was fighting for when he was assassinated in 1968, a guaranteed minimum income for all Americans. It was so mainstream in the 60s that 1,000 economists endorsed it, including Milton Friedman, one of the most important economists of the century. And then 11 years later, one state passed a dividend where now everyone in that state gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. And do you know what state that is? Alaska. And how does Alaska pay for it? Oil. And what is the oil of the 21st century? Data. Technology, data, AI, software. Amazon, $1 trillion tech company. How much did Amazon pay in taxes last year? Zero. That is your math, Iowa. 20 billion out, 0 back. 30% of your stores and malls close forever. And Amazon laughs all the way to the bank. You are here to get a beer at your favorite bar here in Burlington, yes, but you're also here to make sure that we rewrite the rules of the 21st century economy so that Amazon does not pay less in taxes than everyone that's out here tonight. Does that sound like a good idea to you all? And again, that is your power. Right now, Jeff Bezos is worth $115 billion post-divorce. That's no judgment, that's just a statement, a fact. And his $1 trillion tech company is paying less in taxes than each and every one of us. And that's not right. What we have to do is get that value back from the Amazons and Facebooks and Googles of the world and put it into your hands, the hands of the American people. This is how we're going to build a trickle-up economy that makes our families and our communities stronger each and every day. And this is the vision that you can make real in 30 days. I've been giving, or the campaign's been giving, sometimes it's me and Evelyn, sometimes it's the campaign. We've been giving $1,000 a month to 14 or 15 families around the country over the last number of months. And one of the families was in Iowa Falls, Kyle Christensen, who's at home with his mom who's recovering from cancer. And I showed up and gave them this freedom dividend a number of months ago, and I have to say, when I first showed up in their home, Kyle was a little down. I mean, I didn't know, this was my only time meeting him, so I didn't know there was like a down Kyle and a happy Kyle. I just met him, and it was sort of a rough time for the family. But then I saw Kyle 3 months later, and he seemed like a new man. I almost didn't recognize him. He actually said, "Hey, Andrew, it's me, Kyle." And I was like, "Kyle?" And he seemed like a new man. He explained to me that after he had paid some of his family's bills, he then took some of the money and bought himself a guitar. And it turns out that Kyle was a very talented musician who had sold his guitar months earlier to help pay for his mom's care. And after he got this dividend, he then bought himself a guitar, and he was back to performing out in the community, and he seemed like a new man for it. For Kyle, it was a new guitar. For Jody Fassey in New Hampshire, it was car repairs to visit her daughter. For Mallory, it was going back to school. It's not about what $1,000 a month is in a bank account. It's what it means in our hands every single day. We can make it so that the things we value actually are the way we live our lives. I know it seems like a lot for a Saturday night, but right now, Evelyn and I are away from our 2 boys, one of whom is a stay-at-home parent. What is her work valued at every day according to our economic measurements? Zero. And it's not just Evelyn and stay-at-home parents here in Iowa and around the country. It's caregivers, people like Kyle who are taking care of their aging relatives. It's nurturers, it's coaches, it's mentors, it's volunteers, it's artists all too often, like the people who perform at on this stage every night. It's journalists increasingly, because we've put 2,000 local newspapers out of business because all of their advertising went up to the internet and disappeared. These are the things we're supposed to value most dearly in our lives. Our families, our loved ones, our communities, like our creativity, our humanity, and it's all getting zeroed out progressively. And you here in Iowa have experienced this more than just about anyone. This is why a purple state went to Donald Trump by 8 points 3 years ago. It started on your farms and moved to your factories. Now it's on your main streets, closing 30% of your stores and malls. Soon it will hit your highways in the form of robot trucks. This is what's happening around the country, and it is in your power and your power alone to turn the tide. It is your power to say to the rest of the country that economic value and human value are not the same things. That we have intrinsic value as people, as citizens, and as Americans. Corporate profits are at record highs in today's America, also at record highs. Stress, anxiety, mental illness, financial insecurity, student loan debt, even suicides and drug overdoses. It has gotten so bad that our life expectancy as a country has declined for the last 3 years in a row. First time in 100 years. Last time it happened was the Spanish flu of 1918, a global pandemic that killed millions. Think about all the headlines you've seen about record high stock market prices that don't matter to any of us, about record low unemployment rates that obscures the real weakness and suffering in our communities. How many headlines have you seen about our life expectancy going down and then down and then down again? Almost unheard of in a developed country. Which do we care about more in this country, corporate profits or are people dying sooner? Unfortunately, in Washington, D.C., the answer is clear. They succeed whether we succeed or fail. They are now the richest city in our country. Think about that for a second. What do they produce?
Hot air.
Bad decisions.
That is why Trump won, because the connection between us and our government has been broken. We have to reestablish it by having an uprising of the people that then sweeps the pipes clean and restores our own control of our own government and our own country. We do that in 30 days, we get to the top, and then we rewrite the rules to work for us, to work for you, to work for our families, to work for our kids. I'm not running for president because I fantasized about being president of the United States. And Evelyn can vouch for this. She would have run the other way if she thought I was going to run for president. I'm running for president because I've seen the future that lies ahead for our kids and yours, and it is not something I am willing to accept. We have to do better by them. That's what I am fighting for, and I hope you will fight right there with me in 30 days. Donald Trump's our president today because he had a very clear message and story. He said he was going to make America great again. What did Hillary Clinton say in response? America's already great. Remember that? It's been a long 3 years, but it's about to end. Hillary's response did not go over well because the problems are real. The suffering is real. We have to acknowledge the depth and severity of the problems, but then we need solutions that will actually move our country forward. What were Donald Trump's solutions? Build a wall, turn the clock backwards, and bring the old jobs back. Burlington, you know we have to do the opposite of these things. We have to turn the clock forward. We have to accelerate our economy and society to rise to the real challenges of this time. We have to evolve in the way we think about ourselves and our work and our value. I am the ideal candidate for this job because the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. Let's make history together in 2020. Thank you all. Math is an acronym, and it stands for Make America Think Harder. That is your job. It's your job to move this country, not left, not right, but forward in 2020. Thank you, Burlington. Let's fight for it and let's win this whole thing.
So I'm returning to basics, diplomacy, alliances, multilateralism, and much more judgment and restraint, which the ability to declare war back to Congress where it belongs. Because the American people don't want to be in war.
We got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
We do appreciate it.
C-E-S-A-R, and then C-E-S-A-R. Marquez.
Dude, I saw you online.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I thought that was
I
you.
just came from Reno, so hopefully you guys will make it there soon.
Dude, you're a rock star. You know Caesar?
I'm from Reno Yang Yang. What's up, man?
I love.
Yeah, C-E-S-A-R.
How do I pronounce it?
Oh, it's Caesar.
We can get away quick enough.
My mind doesn't work on pasta. I'm not serious.
Beer and peace.
They're doing like a press interview. Sorry.
Coming back out.
I think that is he hasn't eaten all day, so we're getting him some food. Yes, we need to feed him.
Yeah.
No, not here. So that's why we have to pull him out so we can get.
People are on the stream are saying he looks tired.
Yeah, it's time for bed and food. Thank y'all for understanding.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'm definitely
Oh, it's better now.
YouTube feed. We might cut the YouTube feed and go back to yangstream.com only. If you're not sure what yangstream.com is, this stream is being simultaneously simulcasted on both yangstream.com and the Zach and Matt show. But Andrew Yang is done for the night. He is hungry and tired, and he needs
to hang out with his boo.
He needs to rest.
What's your stick?
What's this? It's just like cheapest thing you can find off Amazon.
Just a standard camera. Tripod.
Yeah, just like it's like $18 on Amazon. Should we interview people?
Should we walk around and interview people, or should we go home? What time is it? That might be a deciding factor.
It's not late. 8:40.
8:40. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's gonna take us over 2 hours to get home, and I gotta be up
hour
early.
25.
Unless you want to interview a couple people.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, hey.
Okay.
How you doing, man? I love your fucking show, man. Man Sack. Fucking love it, dude.
You wanna be
Shit.
on?
Oh, you want Zach? Yeah, sure. Zach,
I'd love
to. Gotcha.
You're
live right now.
Oh, I'm live. I saw you on Twitter. What's that? 800 people. Hi, my name's Caesar. I'm part of the Reno Yang gang. So I drove 25 hours just to be out here to canvas for Yang Week. So let's get Andrew Yang elected.
How did you learn about Andrew Yang?
I watch him at the Joe Rogan podcast, and after that, I work at Tesla. So for me, it's like we're making the semi trucks that are going to be displacing a lot of the truck drivers. And that's kind of when I realized, like, oh shit, like nobody else is talking about this. So
You're at, like the front lines.
yeah,
of the
exactly.
whole automation thing?
Yeah.
What would $1,000 a month mean to you personally?
Probably like finish paying out my student loans, and then like my bills and stuff like that. But more importantly, it would just mean a lot to my community. I grew up in Hemming, Indiana, which is not like one of the richest in the U.S. And so I think it would do a lot for it, and that's why in part why I support Andrew Yang as well.
And then there's probably a few Bernie and like Trumpers watching right now.
Okay.
They like to come in and like argue and spam Bernie or whatever.
All right.
What would you say to them? Why should they consider voting for Andrew Yang?
Okay, so if you are a Bernie supporter, which I was, our values and our goals are very much aligned. It's just that the solutions are a little bit different. If you're a Trump supporter, I totally understand why you voted for Donald Trump. Like, I am a Democrat, but I'm pretty tired of the politicians. I'm tired of the establishment. I'm tired of all the same shit. Like, am I allowed to curse? All right. Yeah, I'm tired of all the same shit that the politicians say, right? And so that's why I think Andrew Yang is the perfect combination, because he has good values, he has good intentions. And he's not tainted with the dirty money that we have in our politics. So I think if you like Bernie Sanders and Andrew Yang or Donald Trump, you'll like Andrew Yang. So thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for the hard work. I have been following you guys. I'm a ginseng farmer from Wisconsin, so we started to handle. Okay. So we started to handle farmers for Yang. I got to know Andrew last October in Washington, D.C. We had a Chinese National Convention, and Andrew was a speaker. So we were so impressed by his vision for the country. That's why we come and support him. So we drove all the way 8 hours from Wisconsin today. So I'm going to canvass for Andrew for the whole month in January here. Yes, thank you.
What would $1,000 a month mean to you personally?
For me personally, it means probably more support to other community organizations, donation-wise.
So you put it in the local community?
Yes.
And, the nonprofits?
Nonprofits, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. And then, what would you say, or who did you support in 2016 if you supported?
I was actually a supporter of Bernie.
So what made you switch from Bernie, like this, because Bernie's obviously running again, why did you decide not to go for Bernie again and go to Yang this time around?
The best characterization is from Yang himself. Andrew is a Bernie 2.0 for the 21st century.
Absolutely, that's what I think.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate all your work.
you guys were curious, that's Julian, the Julian that got a speeding ticket for Yang. Our hero. He took one for the team. Well, if I stay on YouTube, there has to be a purpose to it besides me just standing here. And did you hear that? We're now the DJ.
I'm DJing for Yang. He's still here. Still DJ for Yang. Good?
Saying play Return of the Mac.
Okay, where is it?
Right there.
Okay, let's do it. How do I turn it up?
Just click play.
Alright, I'm playing Return of the Mac. How do I turn it up?
They want me to interview you.
Okay, hi. Thanks for the video, Matt. You don't know me by now?
All right, so Eliza.
Hi, everybody.
How did well, let's start off with this. Where do you lean politically?
I'm a conservative, libertarian.
You're a conservative, okay. Who'd you vote for in the last election if you voted?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, okay. So how did you first hear about Andrew Yang?
I first heard about Andrew Yang. I don't know if it was on the Sam Harris podcast or the Joe Rogan podcast. It was one of the two, whichever one came out first. I think it was Sam Harris.
Okay, and then how did you first end up at an Andrew Yang event?
I ended up at the first Andrew Yang event because... Hold on,
Someone
I'm
asked if you were single. No, she's not.
Process of being a human and sharing who you are, what we do, and the values we believe in. And
Hold that thought.
no matter what candidate you want to vote for, I'm happy that you're here to learn and express and be a part of a community, and that's the Andrew Yang community right here. So, but it can be another community too. You know, it's up to you. Freedom of choice. So, thank you for coming to Washington.
So they're currently saying you came to your senses. How do you feel about that?
About going from Trump to Yang?
Yeah, they're in.
Yang wasn't an option when there were options.
Yeah, it was Hillary versus Trump.
You look over at Matt's like this. I'm like... I don't know why I'm always dancing on stream. Wait, are we on Yang stream?
No.
Oh, we're on Zach and Matt?
Yeah, we're on the Zach and Matt show.
Oh, hi.
Fox News and misinformation made many people vote for Trump. How do you feel about that?
I don't agree.
I don't agree either.
I mean, I agree that there is a lot of misinformation in media,
Yeah,
but
that's not why people vote for Trump.
What should I play next? This is Yang's playlist.
Yeah, I know.
These songs are made by somebody like my age. Okay. Matt's left me DJing and with the stream. I wish I could play some Michael Jackson, to be honest. This is Andrew Yang's playlist. And it's like a lot of Smiths and The Cure, which I love, of course. I try to stick to the script, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was the last like couple of years.
He's winning 14 to 13 at halftime.
I'd like to meet Desiree, director here in Burlington.
I'll take it. I got the camera out so quick. Quick drop. One, two, three. Oh, we got a flash going. Hang on. That's gonna screw it up. Sorry. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, that's kind of what I do, you know. But I'm gonna see if I can get one lady on.
Yeah.
This is the chorus where we've been doing shots right now. And going down together.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, big smiles. Oh, beautiful people, love it. One more time here. Beautiful people, love you all. 1, 2, 3, great. Beautiful, got it. Yeah, I just fall down and break somebody. 280 pounds coming at you fast. Don't blink. I bet. Yeah, if I fall on somebody, that's gonna be the end of their day. I got a trip
There he goes.
It is,
Joe was here the other day. He's good. Joe Stan. Yeah, not really that good, but.
So if you want to do a deal, if you want to do a deal, you have
Yeah, I think I'm trying. Yeah.
Hey. I got you.
It closed at 10 back, so we got it. All right.
Sorry. No.
Yes, it's the owner of the buildings. That's his. That was just emailed to us so we could project it.
Do you want to keep these placards? Sure. All right.
Stick it over there on our wall of show flyers.
Sounds great.
Another event.
Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
Yank's favorite jam. Best DJ ever. What was this music?
They want us to interview Grandma.
How close it up?
I'm not drunk. I'm drinking like 3 sips. Across Canada, you're funny.
No, you missed it. I'm so. This one was even better. It was better. I looked what was happening. Okay.
All right, YouTube stream. This is ending because I don't know what the hell to do. But if you want to watch the more coverage, you can go over to yangstream.com. And if you don't want to go over to yangstream.com, that's either your loss or your gain, depending on how you view life. Eliza?
We bid you a fond farewell. Come meet us on Yang Stream. We'll be there for a while.
We hope you enjoyed the night, and we're going to be back tomorrow streaming all day.
All freaking
day.
day.
Andrew Yang has
All
four events tomorrow. And we're going to be there all day. All day.
All day.
All right.
We're annoying.
Good night, YouTube.
All day.
Good night, YouTube.
Good night, YouTube.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. We'll be back at it like a crack addict tomorrow. This was Fred the Felon, and we are out.